Hi, Tom here from the Dreamcast Junkyard. In my last video where I talked about Colin McRae Rally 2, somebody mentioned that it looked like I was in a prison cell. So I've stuck a bead art Dreamcast to the wall. That's from A, B, C Start. Hope that's okay for you. I've also brought along a friend who does look like he's, well, a convict to be honest. That's the barber. So I hope this is okay for you. I believe, what was your name? Jackson's Reality. I hope this is okay and not too much like a prison for you anymore. Right, on with the show. Clip. Now, as we already know, the Dreamcast has a hell of a lot of first-person shoot-em-ups and a lot of light gun games. Things like Outrigger, Half-Life. We've got Quake 3, Unreal Tournament, Soldier of Fortune, the list goes on, even things like Mac and X, which many people don't really count as a first-person shooter because you don't actually shoot anything, you just sort of jump around with a sword. Yeah, it's a bit of a bizarre one that. Likewise, you've got a lot of light gun games. I can only get this one out. It's House of the Dead 2, got Confidential Mission, Death Crimson, there's a whole host of them. I've also got the gun here as well, just to illustrate what a light gun game is. You can point that at the screen and shoot things. But you don't need me to tell you that. On previous systems to the Dreamcast, there were several games that combined the two. So you've got things like Resident Evil Survivor on the PlayStation that allowed you to walk around sort of free roam in a 3D environment and shoot the screen with a light gun. And that template was going to be taken by a studio called Red Lemon Studios, which were kind of a first-party developer for the Dreamcast. To create a game called Take the Bullet. It was going to be set in the 1960s and you were to play a bodyguard looking after a presidential candidate, and there's not really a lot of details about what the rest of the story was going to be and what you would do in the game. However, I've been lucky enough to actually play one of the only known builds of the game, and so I'm about to show you what it looks like and how it plays. Please note, I'm kicking myself for this, to be honest, but I never actually got to play it with the light gun because the person that owns the game didn't have a CRT TV set up to play it on. He only had a flat screen, so I had to actually film the footage from my little camera at the screen. So you might see some reflections in the video. It's still pretty good quality, to be honest. I did try to hook the Dreamcast up to the recording device that I own, but it was just rolling. The video was just rolling, so I couldn't really film it like that. Hopefully though you can see the game in its glory and you can get a feel for what it was like. It is extremely unfinished, the game, and I will also say that I managed to take some footage of the multiplayer game, the multiplayer disc that he also owns, but I've had a few issues with my computer and I lost some of the footage. Sorry, but this is what I managed to save. So yeah, this is Take the Bullet. Please enjoy. Okay, so this is the footage that I took from Take the Bullet. What you're seeing here is the System Disc 2, which is a kind of boot disc that you need to run pre-production GDs. It's kind of, you put the disc in, it loads up that menu, and then you have to put another one in. I've obviously cut this down because you could hear us talking in the background and the Dreamcast doing its disc reading thing. Here we have a little bit of a Red Lemon introduction. And then it goes into the introduction sequence. I left it in just so you could see what it looked like. I'm pretty sure that they would have dressed it up and give it a little bit more of the backstory to the game in this sequence. So yeah, that's the main guy. His name's Kincaid. He's a presidential candidate. It doesn't really give a lot away, this introduction, to be honest, but I thought I'd leave it in because it's unseen by many people. Okay, this is the first mission. and the in-game engine is used to set the scene. There's no sound in these sections. It's just, I'm guessing they haven't recorded the sound yet for the game, and you can see that it did need a little bit of extra work on the animation and things, but it does look quite nice considering it's still quite an early game. So yeah, you play as Jack Travis. The facial details are pretty bad in this version, but and then the game kind of kicks off after a little mini cutscene. So this is where you actually assume control of the game. As I said, I didn't use the light gun. I just used the controller. The controls were quite difficult, to be honest. I mean, you moved around with the analog stick. We had loads of different controls on the D-pad and with different combinations of the triggers, etc. So I can imagine if you were playing this with the D-pad, with the gun, sorry, you would be able to shoot things in the environment, with the light gun, so you wouldn't have to keep aiming. As you can see, it was quite difficult to get it spot on. But it's nice that you've got things in the environment to shoot. Like you could shoot the lights out, you could shoot these cables here to lower this bridge. You will note in a minute when I actually come across some baddies that I'm actually quite rubbish. And that was down really to the controls. They were quite sort of, what's the word? It was hard to actually lock onto people with the controller, of the reticule on the screen. So that's why I'm thinking that if you were using the light gun, it would have been a lot easier. Also, you were able to issue commands to the guy who's following you, Kincaid. You can see at the bottom of the screen there's a little D-pad. You could tell him to sort of stay somewhere or crouch or follow you and things like that. This is the machine gun that I managed to activate. So you get a sniper rifle, loads of different weapons. I wasn't entirely sure what I was meant to be doing in this sort of stage, to be honest. I was just wandering around looking for the next place to go. So yeah, because the game's sort of unfinished, when you died, it didn't have an animation or anything, it just faded to black. This is the second mission, where I believe it's you're meant to be escorting him to a press conference or something. You can see the graphics are really quite nice. The buildings look really crisp, and you've got nice lens flare effects and stuff. With extra work, you can see that this probably would have been a really nice looking game. There's a couple of little weird glitches, like that, for example, where the guy just kind of jumps over the other guy's shoulder. And in this bit, I would imagine that at one point, at some point in the future, this would have been full of reporters and things, because it looks like this is some kind of press conference. I just saw in that bit there, there's arrows that tell you where to go to initiate the next part of the game, like the cutscene, for example. Again, this is completely unfinished, so this may have been full of people at some point. This looks like it's meant to be like an assassination attempt, something that's clearly not finished. It just looks like a placeholder. So maybe she was meant to shoot at the president and then run away, and then you have to then stop her as she gets to the chopper. So basically, back out onto the helipad. As she gets into the chopper. I think I did actually shoot her on this bit, actually. Yeah, I did, but because the game's not finished, it just kind of took off anyway, as if she'd gotten away. And then these baddies just kind of appear out of nowhere. Just admiring the view again.
Bodies everywhere. Flour all over the place.
Okay, so this is where it gets a bit tasty. You get loads of baddies coming out through this corridor, and like I say, the controls, they're quite sort of wooden. You know, it's hard to actually really control it well like you would in, say, something like Quake 3 or something like that. But like I say, with the light gun, I'm guessing it would have been a hell of a lot easier, because you could just, anyone who was on the screen you could just shoot at. I did read on another article somewhere that there was a third person view as well, but I couldn't seem to activate it. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, it was hard because I didn't actually know where I was being shot from. And again, when you get killed in this version, you literally just fade to black. When you go back to the menu, you can choose which level you start at, obviously because it's a demo version. But I chose this next level, level 3, and it just kind of crashed to nothing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. And yeah, thanks for watching.